So the recording is in progress. Thank you, Dylan. So I'll give 3 sounds of the bell, and we can collect ourselves, and then I'll share briefly about the guided meditation, and then we'll be off. So I'd like to invite you to settle in the way that makes you comfortable and keeps you alert, so that optimum balance of relaxation and attention, awareness, not super one-pointed and not super chill, somewhere in between, feeling perky. And I'm going to ask Dylan to put on a song, and it has visuals if you'd like to see it. And what I'd like you to do is just breathe it in whatever ways feel like it brings you a sense of well-being. If you don't care to listen, you can mute it. You can sing along as long as you're muted. Or you can just focus on how the sounds impact the body. And ultimately, when the music finishes, the invitation is to stay with whatever you are experiencing for as long as it lasts, noticing the parts that bring some sense of well-being, and doing your best to stay with those sensations in the body. So when you're ready, Dylan, we'll be breathing into whatever comes next. Just focusing in on the body and looking carefully for any sensations of well-being, and just allowing the attention to rest in that well-beingness. And when the mind inevitably drifts away, just to bring it back to that curiosity of well-beingness in the body. Where is it hiding? Where is it shining? And taking maybe 5 or 6 more breaths. Perhaps putting your hand on a place that has a sense of well-being, not straining to make things different. Gently coming back into the room and bowing to each other. So I'm wondering, with a show of hands, how many of you noticed some impact of the sounds in the music on your body? And if you can put a hand on some place that had a sense perhaps of well-being or good enoughness, just to notice that. Mm. And I want to talk a little bit about our nervous system and the 5 mindfulness trainings. Oh my, what does one have to do with the other? Oh, let's see, it's trying to turn off my original sound. Okay. So you've probably seen this before. Here's our nervous system in an arm. This part is the part that keeps us going automatically, our heart, our lungs, our digestion, all the neurotransmitters that are happening. We have no idea how they really function. Good thing we don't have to consciously make this happen. But this is like our body, where all our organs and all our nerves are, not all of our nerves, because up here we've got 2 other parts of our nervous system. Of course, this is a very oversimplified version, but for our purposes, it'll do. We have the big view in the cerebral cortex, the part that kind of has an overview of all the functioning. It tells us what's happening and how we're going to approach it. It gives us the big picture through language, through thoughts, through picking up on our senses, input around us. And it has a sense of story and a sense of time. We know when things are happening, they're happening in the present, or they happened in the past because we're remembering them, or they actually haven't happened yet because we're just fantasizing about them, but all that happens here. And then deep inside the brain, this is the part that is assessing our sense of well-being or threat. And this part is the part that gives information here as to how to respond to the environment to keep us safe and alive long enough to procreate and raise our babies so that they will continue on beautifully into the future. This part is the part that assesses how much danger we're in. And when it sees or it perceives, it thinks it sees that we're in danger, it makes this part respond accordingly to fight, to flee, or to freeze, and sometimes to placate or fawn, which I won't get into much in this moment. But just to say that this is a very primitive part. It keeps us automatically more safe when there's a sense of threat. And when this part goes online, this part has a much harder time functioning. It's not an all or nothing thing, but the more of this, the less of this. So the more of the automatic, we have a threat, or we're going on survival mode, then this part that sees the big interbeing picture is less effective. And what I want to propose is that the mindfulness trainings are a way to assess real threat and invite this part to be the boss, to have a big picture, to have a sense of interbeing. This part keeps us individually surviving, or perhaps if we stretch it, tribal surviving, but it doesn't keep us planetary surviving. It doesn't satisfy problem solving in this complicated day and age. When things were simple, when we were just hunter-gatherers and the problems were really met well by fight, flight, or freeze, then this part became more dominant. But as civilization has become more complicated, this part has shown its necessity to be the leader. And what I want to say is that the mindfulness trainings are a guard against this taking over unnecessarily, and a guide to how this part can really integrate a big picture to see more and more deeply, not just how we can survive as individuals, but how we can transcend that more animal nature to evolve a being or a collective, as Ty would say, so that life can really unfold and continue. I just want to pause there, both for you to take in whatever is worth taking in of what I just said, and also for me to collect myself. So just go back inside and notice what's happening. I want to talk just a little bit about the process of working with the five and what the five are to me in this moment. So the first mindfulness training deals with our fight energy. And that fight energy is not bad, but it needs to be tempered and appropriate and well placed. If we're determined to create harmony, some of that fight energy is beneficial as long as it doesn't carry us away. The second training deals with our tendency to want to have it all, to have material protection. And that's not bad. That's what kept us alive. But it can also snowball, and it can take over when it's not necessary. So again, we need guidance to overcome that hardwiring of our nervous system, because the other parts of the wiring are there in potential. And it takes practice to over and over again come back to that bigger picture, that cognitive awareness of what is the right thing for not just us, but the interbeing nature of us, our surroundings, our sangha, our environment. The third training, every one of us has benefited from, the energy of sexuality. We wouldn't be here if there wasn't some intense drive to do it. And so we've got that, and we know that that can snowball as well. So we have guidance around that one. And as our understanding of human nature and of our own individual nature deepens, then the trainings continue to be detailed out for us by the Sangha looking deeply, as the new training has showed us a deeper awareness, a little more notions stuck into the words, the verbiage of that third training. Same with the fourth. What does the fourth have to do with survival? Well, we've learned to communicate, or we think we have anyway, in more detailed ways that help us organize and work together as a collective. Sometimes we use those words in a way to fight, or flee, or freeze. And so learning to discern when our words are actually beneficial for the collective awareness and for our own well-being, and when they are actually not, can take some very deep looking. Again, the mindfulness trainings detail out where can we focus on that training to improve. And the last training is really a foundation for the other four to work. It helps us have a clear mind and a healthy body that are the foundation of knowing when our bodies are giving us information about our anger, about our greed, about our sexual energy, about the way we use words. So really, we're accustomed often in the West to have rules that you either break or you keep, and that there are ways of policing that energy so you stay on track. That's not the energy, of course, for the mindfulness trainings. They're trainings. They're things to observe, practice, and integrate into our habits so that we've become more aware of when this is active and more aware of how to access this. And largely that has to do with how we manage this part. Even though this part is automatic, this part and this part influence it. So the trainings are really an integration of our nervous system. They're an invitation to evolve a nervous system that has a different default mode, one that is less reactive, more proactive, less individualistic, more integrated, and a sense of that balance between how we take care of ourselves is taking care of the collective, and how taking care of the collective is a protection for us. And I think that that's maybe enough to say, and to really open it to conversation about how do you successfully practice. And when I say successful, I mean like in moments where you know you transcended from here to here, or moments when you know you had an optimum balance of this and this. So how do you know that? What do you do when you don't like a training, or you don't like a line in the training? What do you do when you encounter a really strong this and a really weak this? How do you hold it? And how do you manage to make the five the ground of your being? So I will stop with that. Thank you for your attention. And I'm looking forward to hearing your reflections and perhaps also your questions, and that we're all very welcome to respond to those if what you want is a response. So this is a conversation rather than a Dharma sharing purely. So again, this is a little variation from Dharma sharing. If you would like to pose a question and you would like a response, make that clear, and then others can jump in with that. So thank you.
Jo-ann, would you invite Abel, please?